Pregame.com.
Friday night NFL preseason action. We've got the Oakland Raiders at Arizona. Scott, this is going to be your video best bet. And before we get to it, I want to clear up something. I heard a rumor. Can you answer this?
Uh-oh.
I heard that you have a face for radio. So RJ went out and bought you a radio show. Is that true?
Face for radio, voice for the newspaper. Yeah, just keep it going. But yeah, we're doing First Preview. If you want to talk about that real quickly, First Preview radio show each and every night, Sunday through Thursday night. It's a 1-hour show. We do it live 11 p.m. Pacific time, 2 a.m. Eastern from ESPN Studios in Las Vegas. And then, of course, it's archived at pregame.com where you can listen to it daily. And it's going to 6 days a week, by the way, so get some sleep because it's going to 6 days a week starting on September 1st. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. All the guys, VR, Andy Isko's a part of it. RJ's down there doing the entire show on Tuesday nights. I get a night off, but I'm looking forward to this show. Yeah.
Well, all I'm going to say, and if RJ's out there listening, if you got Scott a radio show because he has a face for...
Get you a buffet ticket?
That's it. I want a show live from a buffet, busting it up on the strip. That's where I was going. You took my joke before I got there. All right, this is your video best bet, and I think we're going to tangle a little bit on this one.
Just because of that one response about the buffet?
They were horrible on Monday night, the Raiders.
Yeah, both sides. Well, I had them.
I was with you on that one. I had Oakland, too. I thought, new coach, playing first game at home, being on TV, that there'd be a little more of an emphasis, wanting to win, to, establish that winning attitude. I didn't see it.
Right, well, I had a nice 3-0 preseason weekend with my tickets and the plays I released here at pregame.com, and I went into Monday night, and I'm going, man, I really love the information. This is a preseason bonanza of information coming in on these two teams, Dallas and Oakland, and unfortunately, it didn't play out. That's the way it goes sometimes, and I lost and end up on that, 3-1 for the weekend. But the bottom line is, in this particular game, I'm watching the game. The starters, the Oakland starters, the Dallas starters, for the first 9 or 10 minutes of game time, Carson Palmer knows this offense. He had it down. They had a couple of drives that were ended because of one Jacoby Ford, who has hands like mine, I guess, because he was dropping everything in sight. It killed a couple of drives. That's the guy who's from Clemson, had the big, marquee name coming out of Clemson. He's been in the league for 3 years, and he's dropping passes and doing the alligator arms over the middle. Phew. I mean, I would have cut his butt right there if I'm a coach, or at least said, dude, you got to do a lot over the next few weeks, because he not only had those drop passes that ended first-string offensive drives, he also muffed a punt in the first quarter. I mean, he just had a horrible game, and it ended whatever rhythm that first-string offense could have had going.
Well, no question. In Arizona, on the flip side, they have not looked good in the preseason either. They played, this is their third preseason game. They're 0-2. You got to expect them to have a little more emphasis on coming out with a win. I know it's preseason, and everybody says it doesn't matter. Nobody wants to see 0-3 start the preseason. It just, that stuff can snowball.
Right.
So you're going to expect a good effort. From a scheduling standpoint, this is a horrible spot for Oakland. They played on Monday and got to come back and play on a Friday. We're talking about preseason. It is tough to play an NFL game when you're playing on a Sunday and come back on a Thursday, and that's when you've got your team established. In preseason, you've got so many people on the squad. You're trying to look at different players. It's got to be a tough scheduling spot for them, for the coaches to prepare for this game properly. So I think that's a huge edge for Arizona. I expect Arizona to focus on the offense. Neither Cobb or Skelton has looked good at all in preseason.
Well, what do you got? I got to look at my notes here. We have Cobb, after 2 preseason games, has a quarterback rating of 0. Zero. That's what I would have. I've got that rating right now, too, in the NFL, by the way. Skelton's is 39.2, and to put it into perspective, only 4 quarterbacks had a rating of less than 40 last year. 4 in the entire NFL. Arizona has 2 right now through 2 preseason games. But I think what they've got to focus, obviously the quarterback's got to pick it up, no doubt about it. I don't think Cobb can that much. What does he go, from 0 to 15 or something? I mean, I really don't think this guy has it between the years. Maybe he comes out and I'm wrong and has this huge game this week. The bottom line for me is I don't think he's got that extra level between the years to actually equal the mental part of the game as he has as his physical talents are concerned, as I'm trying to speak English here. His physical talents are fine. He's missing something here when it comes to picking up defenses. And I also think, by the way, Marco, that this defense for Arizona has been so bad the first string, almost two strings through their first two games. Whisenhunt is going to be just doing nothing but saying this defense better come to play. I had the over against Kansas City last weekend because I saw how bad that first-team defense and the regulars were against New Orleans. And so I think you're going to see this incredible defensive effort out of Arizona this week.
So you're going with the under?
And I know about the Raiders, and, look what they did on Monday night. Everybody's thinking that this team can't score, but the defense is fine. I have to call an audible on my own handicapping, though, from this perspective, that I think, yes, they've got two quarterbacks, Arizona, that have to make a difference. If it's halftime and it's 14-7 and I don't have to look at those two quarterbacks again the rest of the way, I've got a first-year, rookie, Lindley, out of San Diego State, who's going to be good down the road. And I got a guy, Bartle, who's been there for a couple of years, but he's thrown maybe 3 more passes than I have in his NFL career. So the bottom line for me is I think it's going to be all about this defense better come to play for Whisenhunt, or there's going to be some heads rolling in the locker room after the game. So I actually like the under as a video best bet.
Well, I lean to the other side. I'm just going to give you the points of what I'm looking at. And first off, the one thing I disagree with you a little bit on is the Arizona defense. I know they're not a great defense, but
that's supposed to be the strength, though, of this team,
I don't think they've played as bad as you're making them out to be, because they played the first game. You played the Saints, which we know have a great offense. Okay, yeah. And they had something to prove. Try to get the bounty gate off, that bad taste out of their mouths in the Hall of Fame game. Then last week they played Kansas City, where the coach, prior to that game, and you talked about it on the first preview radio show, was making an effort. He was playing the starters a little longer than normal.
But here's the bottom line, though. The first-string Kansas City offense against the first-string Arizona defense, do you see what happened those first 2 drives Kansas City had the ball? Back-to-back 72-yard touchdown drives. 144 yards, 14 points on the board before you could finish your cup of coffee in the first quarter. And that's why I think this first-team defense is going to be ready to go. We're going to be agreeing to disagree on this one, I guess.
Okay. The other thing I'm looking at, and it's been a thing for preseason football, we talk about it over and over. This is like no other handicap. You don't handicap any other time of the year like you do in preseason football. To me, the offense is the bigger problem, and I think that's where they're going to put the focus on this week. Both teams, because you got one team that didn't score any points, and you got the other team that you've got 2 quarterbacks. It's supposed to be a heated quarterback battle. The controversy is who's going to win by default.
Well, I'm relying on Whisenhunt, and if the game goes over, I'm blaming him.
Okay, well, I'm looking at this to go over, and there's one thing you haven't mentioned, and I like the quarterback rotation for Oakland. Yeah. There's one guy that I think is going to have a real chip on his shoulder when he gets in. First of all, like you said, Carson Palmer did play well. And when he goes on, I think he'll get a little more playing time. And if they don't drop passes, I think he's going to be productive.
Right.
Matt Leinart, he's going to be...
But he was like this the other night. I mean, his passes were safe.
Everybody's been saying out of camp that he's had a good preseason. Do you not think he's going to be pumped up going back to Arizona?
I guess. I mean, yeah, but it's like it's like the cool thing is, and I know what you're saying. When I worked all those years with Jack Snow, I used to ask him all. It was great. I had that little insider with a former All-Pro from the Rams, and I got to ask him all those little ins and outs. Is a guy more motivated to do this because he goes here and go there? And he says, yeah, until the whistle blows and they're ready to kick off. He goes, and then it's more of a what can you do on the field. Leinart he's not a bad quarterback. He just hasn't been developed, and he has had a good camp up until this point. But again, I know he's going to be motivated through the roof. But the bottom line is does it go from here to here? I talked about Cobb having the talent but not having it here so much. Does Leinart have it here? So far, it says that he doesn't, through his first few years around the NFL. And I could be wrong. Believe it or not, I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. But I am on the under for this game. And now I'm a little bit nervous because Marco says he likes the over. And I'm really kind of pissed off because you're making great points.
All right. Well, this is your video best bet. I'm not going to rain on your parade.
You can wait till after the game. If it goes over, you can rain on my parade all you want.
All right. There you have it. Scott says to take the over. It's his video best bet. I have no official play, but I'm thinking the over on this one. He's Scott Spreitzer. I'm Marco D'Angelo. We're going to be right back. We're going to Saturday action. Let the Tebow mania begin. I couldn't wait to do this video. I might have to get RJ to sit in with me. I just love talking Tebow. We'll be back next. Tebow mania here on pregame.tv.